Welcome to part 2 of the bacon video. Today what we're going to do is the last couple videos we went through how to make whiskey bacon and black pepper bacon. So if you haven't seen those videos, check in the description. I'll link them, and at the end of this I'll put them on an end card so you can see them. So today what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the actual bacon that's been cured in the refrigerator. That's been cured for 12 days. So we'll get to see that. And then the other thing we'll do is we'll talk about smoking, because smoking is going to be the next step. There are two ways to do this. There's cold smoking and there's hot smoking. So we'll talk a little bit about those. I'll take you outside to show you actually how I do it, the smoker setup. We will be doing cold smoking, but I can also just show how I would do it if I were going to hot smoke it. And then we'll look at the final product after it's smoked. And then the ultimate test is to fry it and show you what the color looks like and how it fries in the pan. And you'll be probably a little bit amazed the difference between this and commercial bacon. It definitely won't be as much popping and water added to the bacon. So that'll be pretty cool to see that. So that's what we'll do today. And let's go ahead and get started. So if you recall, we did two types of bacon last time. As I said, we did a black pepper bacon, which is here, and then we did a whiskey bacon. So again, they were in the fridge for 12 days, and what we're going to do is we're going to open these up, take a look at them, and then we'll get to talking about smoking. So let's go ahead and open up the black pepper one first. Okay. Oh, and by the way, you can see here that there's quite a bit of liquid in the bag. Obviously, because of the salt does draw out the moisture. The other thing to note is, compared to when it started, the bellies are actually a little firmer after the cure, so that's good. So let's pull this out, hopefully without making a huge mess. So there we go. There's the liquid in the bottom of the bag. So I'll toss this real quick so we don't get it all over. Okay, so there it is. So I've seen before on the forums and other things where people will say, I've got a little gray spot here. It's not as red as the rest of the bacon. Well, what that usually means is the cure hasn't been able to penetrate that area as well. So maybe it wasn't rotated as well as it could have been, but there's a little gray area. Is that a problem? No, it's not a problem at all. Because we're making this bacon to be consumed right away or frozen in the freezer, those little things you don't need to get worried about. If we were to be making this bacon to age the bacon in a controlled environment like 55 degrees at about 80% humidity, and we were going to do that for about a month, yeah, we probably would want to address the issue of not having some cure that's penetrated the meat in that area. So we're not going to worry about that. No big deal. We did add the sodium nitrite to this to give it that nice bacon color. There were a few questions about that sodium nitrite. You can Google it. There's a lot of information on the web, but the amount that we put in, again, don't let that scare you. Nothing about this should scare you. Adding sodium nitrite, you can do that, certainly. Again, you don't have to. It's just you won't have the nice red color. We're not using the sodium nitrite for preservation. We're using it more for color, to be quite honest. So you can add it or not. Completely up to you. Okay, so there's the bacon. So what would I do with this now? We'll take all the juniper berries off of it, just to throw those away, because as this thing dries, they'll just get everywhere. So we'll do that. So what do we have to do with this next? So here's the cool thing. Here's the very, very cool thing about an equilibrium cure. If you recall, we had about a 2.5% weight of salt, of just coarse kosher salt. Cool thing is, this will be whatever 2.5% salt content is. That's what this bacon will exhibit. So in a normal method where you pack the bacon in salt for a period of time, or you put it in a very salty brine, a wet brine, Yes, you're going to have to rinse it off, but with the Equilibrium bacon, we don't. I just take the juniper berries off simply to remove them so they don't make a mess. So the cool thing is, we'll smoke it like this, and some of those flavors will stay on the bacon. And then when we cut it, obviously some of those will remain as well. So it really gives you, to me, it gives you a lot more taste on your bacon that you don't have to get rid of all the really good stuff that you put on. Of course, if you don't want it, you can rinse it, no problem at all. No problem at all. So what do we do next with this? This will need to go in the refrigerator for at least a day. What we want it to do is to dry. We want it to dry a little bit. So we will take some of the moisture off of it before we put it in the fridge. But why do we put it in the fridge? Well, you put it in the fridge for a few different reasons. The main one is it has to form what they call a pellicle. So the pellicle, when this is done, you'll notice it has a bit of a, a bit of a sheen, and it'll be a little sticky to the touch. Well, the pellicle, the reason you want and desire to have that is the smoke will stick to that very nicely. If you simply put this in right now, being wet, you won't have as good smoke flavor as you would if you let it dry in the fridge. So the refrigerator simply is just to dry it. You'll form that pellicle, and hopefully I'll be able to show that after these are dry. You'll form that nice pellicle on it, and then you'll put it on your smoker cold, and you'll go ahead and smoke it. Okay, here we are with the whiskey bacon, and we'll pretty much do the same thing we did with the other. I just want to show you that real quick. Unfortunately, you can't smell the whiskey because it'll be really, really nice when we open this up. So again, it's a little hard to tell, but the belly definitely is a little firmer than we originally put it in there. So let's go ahead and open this bad boy up and see what it looks like. Now, obviously, there'll be more liquid in this one because it did have a half a cup of whiskey. So you'll see that whiskey in there. Okay. Again, try to pull this out without making a mess. Okay. All right. There is the whiskey bacon. And we'll do the same thing. We'll take the juniper berries off. But you can obviously see what that looks like. Going to be the exact same thing as the black pepper bacon. So we got the bacon out of the fridge a little over 24 hours ago. And now what we're going to try to do is show the pellicle. So we dried it out in the fridge to form that pellicle. Just to show you real quick, they're in the divots there, no moisture. Not sure if you can tell, it just looks a little, kind of a little sticky on the surface. Let me go to here where there's more meat, but just right in there, it's just a little bit tacky. But that's the pellicle, that's the thing we're trying to form. And it looks like it did it all really well, all over. So the bacon was definitely dried in the refrigerator just nicely. So that's exactly what we want. Having that pellicle formed on that bacon will allow us to smoke it and have the smoke adhere much, much better and get better flavor. So what we'll do next is we'll set up the smoker, and I'll show you how I cold smoke it, and then we'll just briefly mention the hot smoking portion of this. So, all right, let's go ahead and get that done. And Sophie is continuing to clean the grate. Sophie, good job, baby girl. So let's set up the cold smoker now. So here's the smoke tube that I showed in an earlier part of the video. It's a little 12-inch smoke tube, just stainless perforated. And what you do is you simply fill it with pellets, and then we'll light the end of it on. We'll get a nice fire going on the end where we get embers, and then once that's done, we'll locate it in the grill and just let it smoke and let it smoke our bacon. So what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and fill it up with pellets. Okay, there we go. So we just simply fill the tube up with pellets, just like that. And it's not a whole lot of pellets. If you end up buying a 20-pound bag or so, it'll last you a long time. So, all right, we'll do that, and then what we'll do now is we'll light it, and then we'll let it go for about 10 minutes. This part's pretty simple. Just use a Just a little propane torch and go ahead and light it on fire. Okay, let me turn off the torch here. So there we go, it's lit, and probably let it go for about 10 minutes or so, or until the flame extinguishes itself, and it's kind of windy, so that may happen. But let it go for about 10 minutes, it gets it really good started, and then we'll go ahead and put it in the smoker, and I'll show you the full setup. So this will be the setup for the cold smoke. This is my smoking grill. This is a pellet grill. This one happens to be made by Rectech. It's the 590 Stampede, if anyone was interested. Excellent pellet grill, temperature stabilization and setting. It's just awesome. So I would highly recommend this as a pellet grill, but there are a million out there, and to each his own. To hot smoke this, it's pretty simple. Basically, you'd set your grill to 225 degrees Fahrenheit. You'd put your cured belly slabs on there. If you have a temperature probe that you can put in and monitor the temperature, you do that. And what you want to do is smoke your pork belly at 225 until the internal temperature of the pork belly reaches 150. And then once it reaches 150, you can take it inside, rinse it off with some water just to cool it down. And then you just wait for it to completely cool, and then you can cut it up and freeze it, or cut it up and fry some up right away. So that's pretty much the hot smoke, pretty easy. So for the cold smoke, that's what we're gonna do now, and I'll show you how to set that up. Okay, cold smoking, you can really do this a million different ways. Probably the easiest is to take an existing grill like this and just basically use it as a chamber for your hot smoke. So especially if you're starting out, this is the absolute simple way to do it. So what I've done simply is taken my grill, and I've pretty much gutted the internals out of the grill. So I don't have my grates, and I don't have my diffuser pan in there. I just simply have the grill kind of gutted out. So we've got the smoke tube ready to go. You can see it smoking nicely. And what we're going to do is we're going to place that smoke tube down there on the right, and we're going to put it at a bit of an angle. And it seems like when you put it at a bit of an angle, it smokes a little better. Here's how I do it. This is pretty easy, but I simply put my smoke tube in there at an angle, just like that. Let me see the angle, but just it's off the floor on one end. Just put it on there at an angle, and you can see I'm getting plenty of smoke, and that's exactly what you want. And you can tell it's a nice, I don't know if you can tell in the video, probably, it's a bit of a blue smoke, a nice thin blue smoke, which is what you want. You don't want some thick billowing white smoke. That actually has a blue color to it. So really nice smoke, should taste really good. I happen to be using hickory for this, so those are loaded with hickory pellets. The other pellet I use is fruit wood. I'll use an apple, I'll use a cherry, anything like that. But with this bacon, with making the whiskey and the pepper bacon, it probably will do real well with hickory. And to be honest, hickory is pretty much our go-to choice on smoke wood. So, all right, I'll go ahead and load the bellies in there, and then we'll go from there. There's the grill all loaded up with the bacon. So I got the grates put back on, the bacon nicely sitting there on the grill. Here's the cool thing about smoke tube. When you cold smoke, I typically do not want the chamber to be over 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And I use that just as my rule. I smoke a lot of salmon and a lot of fish and other things. So if I can keep it less than 90, I don't start the cooking process, and I just simply smoke. So it's cold out today. Well, not really, it's not too bad. It's about 60 degrees Fahrenheit today, but this is the evening and it will cool down. So I anticipate it'll be about 40 tonight, 45. Perfect for this. That smoke tube, well, yeah, it's burning some pellets. It doesn't let off a lot of heat at all. I've thermocoupled the grill before to see what the temperature increase is, and honestly, it's negligible. It really is. Where those pork bellies are placed compared to the smoke tube, let's see if you can see it, the smoke tube in the bottom, there's really no increase in temperature in the chamber. So that smoke tube does awesome. It's full. It'll go probably 8 hours or so. So I'll close this and check it tomorrow morning. And then we'll cut up some bacon and we'll test fry some. Waiting all night was tough. So it's the morning. Let's go ahead and open her up and see what the pork bellies look like. Okay, there we are. You can see we have a nice bronze kind of color to the pork bellies. And I would say that turned out very well. Back in the kitchen, got the pork bellies on the cutting board here. So real quick, let's just go ahead and cut these in half and cut a few slices up for the pan. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and grab this one and we'll cut it in half to make it easier in the bacon slices to be a little easier to cut like that. Okay, we've got that cut in half, so it'll be a little easier to handle to cut and also handle in the pan for a normal size piece of bacon. So let's go ahead and cut the end off here, and let's take a few cuts and see what this looks like. All right. Again, a little easier to do if this is frozen, partially frozen rather. A little easier to actually cut that because it is a little soft when it's warm. So yeah, we'll just cut a few here. These are probably slightly thicker than I normally would go. I do have a meat slicer, so that's the way I would do these for the rest of it. But we'll just cut a few nice chunks of bacon here. And okay, there we go. Let's start with that. And there's the bacon after we cut it. Looks pretty good, right? I have to say that nice color comes from the sodium nitrite. If we didn't use that, it'd be a little gray, but you can see here that it's just some gorgeous looking bacon for sure. All right, let's get her in the frying pan. Cast iron skillet is hot. I think there's some kind of rule about you have to cook bacon in cast iron skillet, but not 100% sure about that. You may have to Google it. Let's go ahead and put these in the pan. There we go, a pan full of the bacon that we actually made. Believe me, this smells beautiful, and after all that hard work, which as you have seen, it's not really all that much hard work, let's go ahead and fry these up. But you can see right away, there isn't a lot of moisture and popping that you get with traditional commercial bacon that you buy at the store. This is much more just frying. And actually you have to turn the heat down just slightly because you can burn the bacon because there isn't all that moisture. The other thing to note is, remember, we didn't rinse the bacon after our cure. And you can see here from cutting it, we've got nice little pieces from our bacon that's on there, that's left over. So that'll just help enhance the flavor as well. All right, we'll let this go. I'll flip it and I'll show you what it looks like on the flip. And there we are after the flip. Looks really good, doesn't it? Looks really good. Another couple more minutes and I think we'll be ready to go. Those look pretty done to me. You can see all that beautiful bacon fat there in the bottom of the pan. That, of course, could be 1,000,001 different uses as well. All right, we'll get them out of the pan here onto a plate. And there we have the completed product, from raw pork belly to cured pork belly to smoked pork belly to sliced bacon. And wow, wow, wow. There it is. Good stuff. So guys, this is really, really easy to do at home. As you can see, it doesn't take any special equipment. It can be done safe, and you will not want to buy commercial bacon once you've done this. I assure you of that. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I think it is probably a bit long, but I wanted to include all the relevant steps that when I started making bacon were some of the roadblocks to me actually trying it. So I tried to bridge those roadblocks, and hopefully that's helped. If you like this video, please subscribe, and definitely hit the thumbs up if you liked it as well. So, okay, until the next one, thanks.